All right, we're back once again. The Neo Standard Podcast. Once again, I'm your host Kelvin Penn. I've got Bilori Howard. Nate Veal is out sick today, but we do have Paul Parker here. You guys saw him on our Patreon. He's a community member. He's been great to ever since that we started talking with him. It's added to conversation. So it's a pleasure to have you here today too, my man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was in such a rush to talk that I really wanted to point out, it's a pleasure to have Paul here. This is a very well-traveled, well-educated young man. Morehouse.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome, man. I mean, when I heard you went to Morehouse, HBCU, and you're in the Pacific Northwest, it's always a pleasure, to have a young man who's done a lot in his life.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. I still trying to figure out the Pacific Northwest. Man, I miss the South so much.
Yeah.
I cannot wait till the spring comes, as I'm sure you all can.
Oh, yeah. Man. I got this sweater on. I have no idea why, but...
spring's here.
Spring, this is it?
Spring. God. Oh, I mean...
I need like 10 more degrees.
Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know.
Goodness gracious.
It's going to rain tomorrow, so...
Is it really?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not surprised.
It's going to rain tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right.
Welcome to Washington.
Welcome to Washington.
Nonetheless, that is Tacoma for you.
That's why it's so green, though, but I digress.
It is true.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Well, yeah, man, let's get into it a little bit. What do you guys think? I know we were talking a little bit last time just about
Bitcoin?
No. The last time that we spoke, we were talking more about
We were NFTs, metaverse.
the metaverse, NFT space, but the last podcast episode
podcast.
that we were talking about. Actually, it's funny as hell. I was just watching it. And I can't remember exactly what we were talking about.
We were talking about, I think we talked about...
Nostro
Vostro
Vostro
a little bit.
accounts, securities,
Yeah.
how much more secure, because we talked about how some people's cryptocurrencies have been heisted from them. But once again, if that's the case, it's probably because you gave up some of your information, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the only way they could do it.
So the security, like Bilori said, is built into the system. That's what he kind of said the last time. That was a big point that you made the last time, actually.
Yeah.
But now here we are. I think today we really want to get into a little bit about Bitcoin and tell people a little bit about some of the things and its use cases and whatnot out there. It's a big topic right now, especially because you have places like El Salvador who have switched over to using that as their major currency all the way. You have places where people go to specifically to exchange cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin Beach. You've got places even I saw something that I heard something that Argentina is being the IMF is incentivizing places like Argentina to not use Bitcoin or switch their currency over like El Salvador did, but there's still places within that area that people go to because it was a big spot for that already. So there's a lot of cool use cases. But what are some things that you guys are kind of seeing about Bitcoin just in general out there that's interesting to you at all?
What you just said, honestly, that's super dope, man. I wonder, for what the use cases are down there. What are they using it for? Do you know?
I know. You mean like
in El Salvador, and then you were?
Oh, they're using it for everything, man.
Damn.
It's their major currency because their currency was going down. It was pretty much all or nothing, and they went for all.
That's
basically.
crazy, man.
Right.
Wow.
To the disdain of some people, right? Because some people don't understand it. Some people really aren't for it. It's so volatile. They hear a lot of news. We talk about that on this podcast quite a bit, is the amount of news and information that's out there on all this stuff. But it's really how can you read through it? Because there's places that are using it still. And whole governments that are using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? To send money to other places and whatnot.
Right.
Your XRPs and whatnot. We can always get on that. But, they're using it for everything.
I wonder how you distribute it. You know?
Distributing Bitcoin, it's pretty easy, actually, because since there are so many different exchanges that enable you to go on and buy it. And then if you're using it primarily as a payment system, because you're basically propping up your financial system on that as opposed to whatever your currency is, because their currency had lost its value. It was, didn't have much value, but Bitcoin is a global currency that you can use, so you can also not only pay someone in Bitcoin, but you can pay them in another currency. So you can go from Bitcoin to a fiat currency, right? As you're doing payments too, because there's a lot of different ways you can transfer the money. So a lot of it is with apps and phones. There's for example, most people recognize like Cash App, right? PayPal. I don't know if you can do Bitcoin and PayPal, but I know Cash App is one.
For sure.
Where you can just go on Cash App, put in whatever your currency is, transfer it from your bank account into the Cash App account. It comes out as Bitcoin, and then you can use the Bitcoin for payment, because all you're doing is scanning it's as easy as scanning a QR code to make the payments. And since you have Bitcoin, you have a second layer of Bitcoin, which is used primarily for micropayments, where Bitcoin is used for as the base currency, and then the micropayments are done through Bitcoin Lightning. So that's what they're using for payments. And I think when we talked about Bitcoin Beach the first time, that's what they're doing. So just to touch on that once again, what they did. So there's a gentleman named Mark Moss. So great person to follow if you want to get information about Bitcoin. He also talks about geopolitical positioning and the things that are going on in relation to how it affects our standard of living when it comes to our currency, global currency, and then how cryptocurrency is going to make some changes. So basically what he did is he went down to, now I can't remember, I think it was El Salvador. He went down to El Salvador with a collective of other people.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And
that,
they had devices that they passed out. So these people's currency isn't working, so they don't really have a means to exchange goods, or pay for services. But Bitcoin enabled them to do that, and it actually enabled them to make money too. So all in one specific way, where he went into a business and said, "Hey, we want to. Would you like to accept payment in Bitcoin for your services?" Right? And so, okay, this is how it's going to work. You have a station. People come in. They have a phone. First of all, they have to purchase the big. Actually, what he enabled them to do was to earn Bitcoin by completing tasks on a device. So he passed out devices, said, "Hey, this is what you're going to do on the device." I'm not sure exactly what it was, but those steps or the time they spent on their phone were able to generate more currency, which they possibly could have been mining. They could have been doing some type of mining, And so since they were able to generate that income, they could in turn take that income, go to the store where they had the QR code, scan the QR code, and then pay for the goods. So it opens up a way of creating an economy at a scratch, basically, right?
Essentially.
So your currencies in your government's not going to allow you to do that on your own unless you're just bartering goods. Like Absolutely. I have this, you have that, let's trade. But that model in itself, proves that it works, right? Sure. Despite the volatility, despite the negative information that you receive about Bitcoin. It works.
You know what I'm interested in with that, though? Like, how do you distribute it amongst the people at a mass rate? Like you said, they went down there, they handed out some devices, and people started doing whatever they need to do on the phone. But, like, you have people only on the outskirts of El Salvador that, can't get access to that equipment. So, like, how do you ensure the populace gets the tokens as well? You know what I mean? That spreads. So that's what I'm interested in.
I don't know necessarily, but I would say in theory, I think you have to think how much the government really cares to get people who are on the outside or on the outskirts in general, because at some points, the most populated cities, right, are the things that they're probably worried about the most, because those are the people who are transacting and doing stuff like that. That makes a lot of sense, yeah. So then when you get other people that come in, eventually, like, they have to, once they figure it out, they're going to have to switch over And
it's
not a matter
spread
of,
like a virus, kind of. Not in a negative way, but in a like, okay, you start with El Salvador and it just blossoms out. That's gonna be crazy.
I have a little bit of information to share that I think is the way it's going to be distributed globally, right?
Okay.
So first and foremost, if you look at most cellular services, most of the world is covered in cell service. Now maybe it's not 4G, maybe it's 2G, but as long as you have connectivity to a cell phone, you can transact and receive Bitcoin anywhere in the world, right? So let's just say that's kind of the beginning point. But then to really impact people that are in areas where maybe they don't have cell service, but they still have huge populations of people, right? But they're not using phones, because their phones are basically for like making phone calls. Maybe they don't have smartphones, right? But you have a system that's being built. It's called Starlink. I think you're from. I don't know. Okay, you have a system that's being built that's called Starlink.
Right.
That is for global internet. We're talking global internet. We're talking internet anywhere in the world. That's like 5G.
That's
Is that
what's
with Tesla?
It's
that's
with Elon Musk.
Yeah, and that's what they're using for.
Low level satellites to distribute 5G globally. So for example, if you have that system in place, right, and then you can take recycled devices, right, and still maybe have devices that aren't necessarily the type of cell phones we have, but maybe they're specifically designed for
I just had a thought.
for banking purposes.
Man, all the iPhones we done turned in over the years. Because what are we at, 13 now? Like, when you turn that phone in, where does it go?
That's somebody else's device. Like, I sent a device to my nephew. I mean, they have phones there in Uganda, but I sent iPhone 8 Plus there to him,
That's where it's gonna be.
So I see it as a system it's already been planned out just in my estimation. It's been planned out to where they're going to do global internet, 5G connectivity, which will now allow anybody. Because I saw something today from the IMF. I was watching a video and they were talking about level the playing field. Talking about level the playing fields from people who are in poverty are going to come out of poverty. People that are rich are going to come down, like the U.S. per se. We're not going to be
the IMF?
The International Monetary Fund.
No, but they're saying, what are they, when it comes to cryptocurrency?
When it comes to the Great Reset. That's what they call it.
I remember that. I don't believe that. The rich are gonna the rich I feel like gonna get richer.
Yes.
Like, let's be quite honest.
I agree, but I'm not talking about the super rich. I'm talking about people like the middle class. It depends. Obviously it depends on where you are and what your upward mobility is, right?
Sure.
And whether you have the ability to take advantage of technology, or is the technology going to take advantage of you? Where are you going to be positioned? And I think that plays a role in it. So, but obviously that's I'm painting everybody with a broad brush, but it's maybe not that broad. But I really think that the technology is there. The plan has been set in place, and it's somewhat of an inevitability. Now, what it'll look like at the end, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But we already know that you can buy and sell products with cryptocurrency. You could send cryptocurrency globally. You can't turn it off unless you turn off the whole internet. So how can you control it? The only way you can control it is to regulate it. Governments can regulate it. They can tax you, and then they can stop you from transacting in it to a certain degree.
Yeah, but how much can they do? Because that's, again, it's still like, I mean, if there's, of course, I know we talked earlier, there's a layer probably up there that there's always a government layer and there's always a civilian layer, right? Just in general. But unless they're working with companies to do so, and really the companies don't even themselves own the cryptocurrency, they're just using the blockchain. How do you even control that?
You take control of a certain supply of it.
Oh, you buy it.
Yeah, you buy it, and you FUD everyone else out. You tell them that it's garbage. That it's not going to go to. It's not going to go to a certain price.
Yeah.
You pump and dump it. You shoot the price up. Come out with some negativity. People jump in. Say something bad about it. You pull their money out before they get a chance to pull their money out. Now you scare them, and then a lot of people don't come back, but they come back later. They come back later when it's more. Mm-hmm. But when they come back, and I'm not talking about everybody, when they come back, there's more control. And when they come back, when the masses really start adopting it, there's going to be a level of control, and there's only going to be so many cryptocurrencies. It's not going to be like the casino it is now. There's only going to be, excuse me, this is my opinion, I think there's going to be only the utility cryptos, and then Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, and then certain utility tokens that actually do stuff.
Sure.
And then all the other ones that are just,
They'll fall by the wayside.
they're going to disappear,
Right.
So.
It's still interesting though, because the idea is that like they would be distributing it out, but after they distribute it, I don't know, man. Once you distribute it, don't you lose your power again at that point?
What do you mean, like who loses?
Because like you buy it all, the government buys it all. Mm-hmm. They distribute it out. Mm-hmm. Because based off what it is, but people are. In America, I can just tell you, in my opinion, it's like people are going to see that, and they're gonna, a lot of people are going to call BS. You know what I'm saying? Like countries that are like that.
Right.
I'm trying to catch on to your wavelength here. So, are you saying the government can? So, are we back? We're going off of your point of the government buying a whole bunch of Bitcoin.
Yeah,
and then distributing that Bitcoin and controlling it by dictating the price of the coin.
Well, but I'm talking about after they distribute it, so after it's back into the people's possession, and then who get to choose what they want to do with it because it's America, right? How much power do they still have if they don't, once again, own the coin?
Well,
they just have it in their possession and they're distributing it.
Yeah, well, it's okay. Maybe to backtrack a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, distributing it is relatively easy because you're using it as a method of payment, right? Because let's say you're still using dollar or whatever your currency is, but let's say you have your currency, you have a digital currency, which is either U.S. dollar, right? Or it's your country's central bank digital currency, right? Because then you have Bitcoin, which is just more of a store of value, but also a payment method, right? That you can use within the cryptocurrency ecosystem for buying and selling things, right? Mm-hmm. So it'll be a payment medium with your central bank digital currency, and then whatever your fiat currency is, because I don't think fiat's going to go away like that overnight. Mm-hmm. It's still going to be there. It's just probably not going to have the same value. That's my opinion, of course. So you have those three methods of payment, right? So you'll be able to use either one, right? Depending on the person, right, and their access to information, wealth, investing, like maybe you'll have more Bitcoin than this person. Maybe you'll have more Ethereum than this person. Maybe you'll have other currencies. Maybe you'll have XRP or XLM, Algorand, and you've invested, right? Mm-hmm. And since price appreciation, you're probably going to take your money and buy assets, right? Or you're going to stake your cryptocurrency and make money off that. Not everybody's going to be able to do that because not everybody's going to know. Mm-hmm. There's only going to be a certain amount of people that are staking cryptocurrency. There's only going to be a certain amount of people that own cryptocurrency outside of, let's say, Bitcoin, right? And then there's going to be people who are just transacting in it because they're consumers, right? Just like the same people that you go out here every day, they don't know nothing about Bitcoin. They've heard about it. Mm-hmm. They're not using it, but they're still buying and selling goods using dollars, right? So instead of dollars, maybe they'll be able to transfer some of their dollars into Bitcoin, their digital dollars into Bitcoin.
Satoshis.
Yes, yeah. And use those for purchasing. Now, of course, there's probably going to be an adoption cycle where you go from using dollars, using crypto, and using the bank currency, the central bank currency, and then you'll get to a point when you're only using your central bank digital currency and and maybe Bitcoin, and then there may be a point when you're only using your central bank digital currency because maybe Bitcoin doesn't exist anymore, or maybe there's no need for you to use Bitcoin because your central bank digital currency acts as your currency. Now you're an outlier. Maybe you'll be like, well, I just don't want one. I just don't want the government central bank digital currency. I want some control on my own, so I invest in Bitcoin. So I have Bitcoin that I can use to buy other things.
Which is why I kind of see, it's almost like saying like it's like backing it in gold once again, except now it's like backed by almost like Bitcoin almost. But it's really not even backed, it's more of like transferred over into.
Right. It's an exchange. Like
and used.
That's Coinbase, all these exchanges are exactly what does that. So you give me the Bitcoin, I have the cash on hand, we can exchange it out. I'll give you your point earlier with Scooter Braun's house. Like, yeah, I mean, that's all that's going to be doing is just exchanging whatever I have.
So for those who don't know, Paul's referencing Scooter Braun, who is Justin Bieber's manager, just sold his house for $18.5 million equivalent in Bitcoin. So I just want to make sure they do.
No, for sure. No, that's very real. And so, like, him doing that is a very forward-thinking, because he's expecting Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin, to rise and to continue to eventually be a world currency that everyone uses. So to your point of the exchange, I think that I was going on my thought process with this. Exchanges for consumables.
My fault.
I'm sorry. No, you're good. You're good.
So you're referring to just like the exchange process when you go to your bank and you say, well, or your work pays you in dollars. You go to the exchange and say, hey, I'm gonna trade these dollars for Bitcoin because I want to use Bitcoin to transact instead of the fiat. Just like what people are doing now, because they just work as an intermediary basically.
It's just the middleman.
Yeah.
And that's what Bitcoin is doing now. They're cutting out the middleman.
Right.
And I think I mean, for all of us, that'll be more efficient. I don't need to go to the bank to, pull out money. All I got to do, if I want to send you Bitcoin, I'll just send it to you. I mean, I know we have Cash App and stuff like that. But now that we're talking, crypto, like, yeah, I can just send that instead of having to go to an intermediary and then it coming to you. So I love how, and I hope you talk about the Lightning. What is it?
The
called?
Lightning Network.
I would love to hear more about that because seeing how that all operates and cutting out the middleman is awesome.
Right. Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about it. I mean, I don't know as much as I'd like to at this point, but So basically, like Bitcoin's is a medium of payment. And of course, all the payments are on a blockchain. Blockchain is basically like a ledger or like a nodes or computers, and those computers collect the information of each transaction that takes place, right? And for those transactions to take place, people that are called miners basically perform operations on their computer to solve equations to certify the payment, so to speak. And when the equation's solved, the payment's sent, and the person who solved the equation gets paid in Bitcoin, right? So the only thing about Bitcoin is it's not scalable, and scalable just means that you cannot expand it to handle the number of payments that need to take place. So I think Bitcoin does seven payments per second. Visa does like 75,000 payments per second. So if you want to scale it to the globe, you're going to need something that can handle millions of payments per second. And Bitcoin, the way it's structured, cannot. It's not scalable. So they had to create a fork, and the fork is the Lightning Network. And what the Lightning Network enables people to do is to make micro payments, which are smaller payments for more of like a retail environment, right? So, and the way they can do that is they basically since it's a fork, but it has two payment channels, and each payment channel would one would be the receiver and one would be the sender, and the payment channels don't agree on the payment unless they both have to.
They close it at the same time, right?
Exactly.
They close it out. So I confirm we're making an exchange. You say, yep, the exchange is good.
Right.
This transaction, we both close it out.
Right.
It's done.
Right. there's another really cool part that I found out about too. So let's just say we're hanging out, but we know this. Let's say this is how they worded it. So the person that does your hair does his hair, but I don't know. But I don't have a direct payment channel to you because but I owe you money, but I haven't paid you, right? I can pay you using your payment channel to him. That's another thing Bitcoin can do, which makes it even more scalable. So you don't necessarily have to have a direct payment channel. You can have a third-party payment channel.
That was really cool. Because the way they said it, the guys that made Bitcoin Lightning, because Lightning chooses the path of least resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so, like, what they're saying with that is because you don't have to open up a channel with your barber, right? He can pay, and, like, at some point, what will happen is it'll go through you, right? But eventually it's going to get to him.
To the barber.
Without him having to open up an actual channel of payment towards it.
And the only way they'll like, and then they were like, oh, well, what if he's a bad dude, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true.
I'm
Yeah.
giving you money. I can just take the money. Well, the payment channel, once the payment channel's, you open the payment channel to him, you can't intercept it. The protocol was built
it's
to
authenticated.
to have the payment channel open without you being able to access, let's say, the code that I'm sending. All you can do is relay it.
Interesting.
You can't do anything other than relay it.
But I have, so technically and then figuratively, I'm the middleman. So you get your hair cut by Bilori, and you need to pay him, but you do not have a channel with him. So as I'm saying, you have no payment method. You can't send him money at all.
You can open one if you want to. He can always be like, just contact me and say, hey, I want to send a payment to you. Let's open payment channel.
And in that example too, the guy was saying more of like you had already paid the guy, right? But say he was like, oh, he did a really good job. I want to give him a tip, and I forgot to tip him that time. So that was the scenario.
But you would need to know me in order to create the channel for me to send the money over.
Right, like if we have a channel open.
We have a channel.
And you have a channel with him.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so sense. When I heard that part, I was just kind of like, I hadn't heard that before.
That's crazy.
That's
a
cool.
crazy connection.
Yeah, and then it like really broadened Bitcoin's capabilities further because we were talking before, and I was mentioning how I couldn't get past the price and the fluctuation.
Yes.
It doesn't matter because you're still paying in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, right.
And I guess one of the questions I still have is how's that even make sense if Bitcoin's going down and I'm paying you? Are you getting the same amount of Bitcoin or what? That's still the challenge. So I think at some point Bitcoin is going to be pegged to something. I don't know what, but I don't know. Maybe not. As long as it keeps going up, it doesn't matter. But
I feel like it'll come to a point where it's like, yo, for that haircut, I expect 10 Bitcoin, and you set the price. And then it's like, okay, are you willing to pay that? Yeah. Then you just send that money over. I don't know if there's ever going to be like anything that just says if you are a laborer of a farmer or whatever, you get this certain amount of Bitcoin, no matter what you do for that trait or role. And if you're a politician, you can scale this much Bitcoin. Right. Like I don't know if that's how that's going to work.
That makes sense. So basically you're saying this haircut is like 15 satoshis. So if I'm going to purchase whatever 15 satoshis are of Bitcoin to make that payment, period, So am I going to switch it from dollars? How many dollars is 15 satoshis or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then because of that, that's how the transaction is going to place. As it becomes more mainstream and adopted, the value of Bitcoin will just continue to go up because of the scarcity. So it's really not going to make a difference, But again, there's other ways of sending payments cheaply as well. So, but who knows who's going to be who the winner is?
It's utility, which is again right here what we're talking about. Bitcoin Lightning is what makes Bitcoin utilitarian at that point. But I do agree with you in the sense that there's other There's other cryptocurrencies that have thought of that already and have implemented it within. So it's not like here's the layer.
The XRP, right?
Oh, XRP.
They do the same thing.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, it's out there already.
Definitely out there.
But Bitcoin being the gold standard, I think people trust that a little bit more. They're going to be able to. You don't think they trust Bitcoin?
Like whole countries are transacting with XRP.
Oh, okay.
For remittance payments.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it might. I think it's for the use cases can be different too. Like the use case could be micropayments for Bitcoin, XRP for institutions,
True.
micropayments for Bitcoin, peer to peer, XLM for payments, peer to peer. So there's countries in Africa, Nigeria being one that's using XRP already for peer to peer payments.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
they have they're building networks where they're going to use specific payment platforms, primarily because Bitcoin, since Bitcoin is I don't know if I want to say decentralized.
Yeah,
Since
it is.
Bitcoin is decentralized, but there's no central authority. There's no
Right.
one to go to. I mean, other than the developers who have built on it, but there's no one you could go to and say, hey, we need to control Bitcoin. But when you're dealing with monetary systems within countries, they have to have some level of control of the currencies for stability. And I think that's one of the things Janet Yellen said when she was talking about what's the country that she didn't want, not El Salvador, but Argentina. So she said they don't want them using Bitcoin because it has a tendency to disrupt the economic stability because of the volatility. Because of the volatility, it can disrupt the economy. So to base your economy on something that's volatile, you're taking a big chance. Now, when you don't have any other option, it don't
do what you
matter,
gotta do.
right? But if you do have an option, you find something that you can peg to something that's going to have a specific value that's not going to drop. It's going to be set at a certain price or value, right? So then if you're sending payments to this system, you're not worried about gas fees. You're not worried about how long it takes because it's instantaneous, right? And this is a system you can build on because it was created to do just that, to be stable, to create a stable environment for the system to work in. Now, Bitcoin is somewhat unstable. Nobody knows what the hell's going on half the time. Price goes up, down,
It's really interesting, man, because it's all about, I've always felt like it's about speculation with Bitcoin a lot of times. Like someone says something about it, it shoots up. Someone says something else about it shoots down. We go to war, it shoots up. The low orbiting satellites that we were talking about earlier. What was the name of it? Starlink. Use case. It's already been used. I think Elon Musk came out and said that they were using Starlink to drop Bitcoin to Ukraine. Right? That's
cool.
It's pretty insane when you think about it. But once again, it's still like what else does Bitcoin have to offer besides someone else saying something about it and the price going up or down?
That's a great question.
No, that's a great point. And this sheet that we were sharing has a lot to do with it because it kind of talks about what the traits of money are. And when you look at the traits of money, there are specific things that money can and can't do.
Okay.
And it makes it easier to either transfer it. Is it something that can be copied? Is it safe? For example, I'll just go over the list and just make it kind of quick here. So there's specific traits of money. So when we're talking about money, this list talks about gold, fiat currency, which is the U.S. dollar, and crypto. So the traits are fungible. Is it interchangeable? Is it non-consumable? Portability, durable, highly divisible, secure, can't be counterfeited, easily transactable, scarce, sovereign. Is it government issued? Decentralized? It is smart or programmable. So if you look at the list, it says gold has three of them are high, 3 are moderate, 4 are moderate, 4 are low. Fiat 3 high, 4 high, 3 moderate, 5 high, 3 moderate, 3 low. Cryptocurrency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 high, 10, 11 high, 1 low. So when you look at the traits of money, Bitcoin has all the traits of money and is high on all but one. So that's better than gold, fiat, and crypto. So it's something that you can use as a hedge against fiat currency. But again, gold is God's money. It ain't going nowhere. So don't believe the hype. Gold is always going to have more value. At the end of the day, you just can't move it around.
You can't
move it around. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's usable. It's still like. Then we talk about diamonds.
It's tangible.
Too.
Right.
It's the tangible factor. When it's Bitcoin, you don't know what it's connected to.
Well, gold is a conductor too. It's the highest conductor of electricity.
Right. And you can.
That's it's usable.
And you could take the gold and you can put it in a vault, and then you could back your currency with it.
Yes.
And that's the thing. That's why central banks are buying gold first. Right. They're not buying Bitcoin first. They're buying gold first because at some point the currencies are going to be backed by something, right? Yeah. It's not going to be. It's obviously it's trust one. And a trustless system, which is cryptocurrency, because everything's on the blockchain.
Sure.
And then
it just makes it easier to transact the gold.
Definitely.
That's just what it is.
It's just like going from fiat currency to a digital system. We're already digital anyways. Sure. But we're not backed by anything. That's why our currency is worth bupkis right now. I mean, it's being propped up, so we all know it's the days are numbered. Right.
It's a kickstand type thing.
But But that's why gold is so precious, I believe, and I think that's why everyone should buy some. By the way, just segue away from that real quick. If you want to own gold, there's a very easy way to do it.
I was going to bring this up later.
Other than just buying it, from Kraken or one of these other places where you can invest in, you can go to Glint. Glint. There's a Glint app. It's called Glint Pay.
Say it again.
Glint, Glint.
Yes,
and
sir.
you can purchase
RT at the end.
You can purchase gold. You can buy physical gold, and you can also buy gold that you basically transact with on your debit card.
Oh, I didn't know that last part.
So when the stuff hits the fan, and let's just say there's a run on the banks. Who knows? This might never happen.
We don't know.
If there's a run on the banks and you can't access your money, there is this thing called bail-ins too, by the way, where the banks can actually seize your money. They can seize your money if there's an economic problem. If there is a national emergency, they can literally just say, "Hey, we're seizing your money for national security. Our bank was hacked, so we can't allow anyone in or to take money out or put money in."
Side note: you can't do that with Bitcoin.
No, you can't.
Exactly.
Private entities are doing that. So you know.
So if you have the Glint debit card and you need to go to the store to buy groceries, all you're doing is transacting in gold to fiat by swiping. As simple as that. It's a great tool. Everyone should own some.
Are you serious?
You could literally take like you can take $200 and buy $200 worth of gold,
and then go to the grocery store.
Go swipe your debit card.
Get out of here
today.
Yes.
Is it a Glint card that they give you? Is it a Glint debit card?
I just started signing up. I haven't signed up yet.
Okay.
No, you can do it.
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying.
This is real.
Yeah.
It's real.
I gotta check it out. That sounds.
It's real.
That's insane.
Yes, and I told my mom to get one. My brother is getting one. Get one for my daughter. We're all gonna have Glint cards.
I'm gonna look that up.
And anyone can have one.
Why wouldn't you just take why wouldn't I? What's stopping me from taking my paycheck and just buying gold and because then if it's my God.
Exactly. And here's yes, you could. And here's the other thing too. You could also take part of your paycheck and put it in USDC.
Yes.
And it ain't gonna devalue, ain't gonna drop.
It won't drop.
True.
Isn't it crazy?
Neo Standard. That's the type of stuff we were talking about.
Right.
It's the new way, man.
And not to get off subject, I was I was like so close to calling today, say, hey, can you sponsor our
So
or,
glint.
or you can have a little glint thing up here.
Glinty background. That'd be cool, man.
Click the glint QR code for.
What you got there? Some kombucha?
Yeah.
Nice.
The way health is wealth, man.
Health is wealth.
Neo
man.
standard, baby.
I want to be around to spend this money. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know that's right. I'm
Just-
trying to
just
be wealthy,
Just
bro.
talking crazy.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I think, and as we were talking outside, it's like we are getting in at a good point. I wouldn't say we're the first adopters by any means, but I mean, it's only 2022, and yes, we're finding different use cases for Bitcoin. We're finding different use cases for these altcoins. Like, the sky really is the limit.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's really crazy when you think about the time that we're living in right now. You
Right.
know?
It is.
Like,
Well,
wow.
It
The
is.
blockchain tech as a whole is just going to be the way. It's like the new internet. It's like a new internet layer.
Yeah.
Like the way that things are happening
Yeah.
as is.
You just got to figure out the energy portion of it. Like,
Yeah.
it takes so much energy to do these transactions, which, I mean, if the Lightning coin, or what is
Lightning Network.
Lightning Network, if that is the way, if that is the move in XRP, if that's the move, then okay.
That proof
That,
of
yeah.
they're moving away from the proof of work concept, which is the energy killer right now.
Okay.
Which I've also, this is another podcast too, it's just really funny. It's like now they're saying that it's like so marginal at a point, like how much power that they're actually pulling. This is a recent one. I have to find the name of the podcast. I might have us just throw it up at the end. But they do like it's on Spotify and they give daily updates. Coin Daily Market, I believe is the name of it. But don't quote me yet. But they just give updates daily on about 12 to 15 minute updates about what's going on in the crypto space and whatnot. And that was just something that I came across that I was just like, wow, man. Like now it's marginal.
Right.
Right.
And I think with Bitcoin, any information from Bitcoin has to be taken with a grain of salt to a certain degree. Just
always.
because
Even what we're
like you're
saying.
saying, we're getting marginal on one hand, and then on the other hand, you got institutions
Yes.
and governments saying how they want to go away from proof of work. Right. They're saying they want to go from proof of work because of the amount of energy it takes.
Yeah.
I think anybody that understands cryptocurrency or has researched it at all knows that it does take energy because a lot of people have computers set up. Okay, I did see something where they were like, we're using hydroelectric power
I have that written down.
for mining,
Yep.
and they're saying the hydroelectric power we're using is but a mere portion of what is being used by the population. So they're only like taking power when the population isn't using it. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are coming up with creative ways to mine Bitcoin that are clean energy focused because they're not going to have a choice at some point, because there's another thing called carbon credits. I don't know if you've heard about carbon credits. So with carbon credits, you'll be able to buy. If let's say you have a mining organization, right? You are going to be taxed for how much effect you have on the carbon footprint, right? What you'll be able to do is to buy carbon credits to offset that. So if you own these carbon credits, you can offset what you'll have to have certain amount of carbon credits to operate in specific aspects of society as a huge corporation. So are you an airlines? If you're an airlines, you're gonna have to have a certain amount of carbon credits. Are you a auto manufacturer? You're gonna have a certain amount of carbon credits. Do you have a farm? You're gonna have carbon credits. And this is a crazy thing. Not to get off subject, they're saying the carbon credit market is gonna be greater than the crypto market, because you're dealing with nothing but institutions and huge corporations, right? Having to like own these carbon credits to function, right? And that's part of these new green agendas too, so they got a whole.
That's wild. So you have they're gonna make people and because it's kind of similar to, but not like kind of like staking, like making sure. Oh, not even staking, but like having or hodling really. You're forcing people to hodl these things, these credits, in order to just operate? So like if they buy more credits, then it's just like whatever?
You're basically, it's kind of like what the mafia did. Like, you're gonna pay us to stay in business.
That's what I'm. Yeah, exactly.
It's what's that called?
I mean, everybody got taxes.
What's that word?
That tax. You gotta pay the tax.
Yeah, it is exactly. That's exactly what it
that
is.
is.
So when you look at green agendas, they have a dark side, and they have a bright side. Of course, the bright side is we want to protect the environment. The dark side, they're going to make you pay. They're going to make you pay to continue to function the way you are.
Sure.
Because
Makes sense.
Because you have to pay for what you're doing to the environment. I mean,
Which is crazy, right? Like, we will mess up the environment, but we'll pay you just to do it.
To give us the option to keep going.
To keep going, which is so wild.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man.
Are you serious?
That's really interesting. I'm gonna have to look up Glint. Gonna have to look up carbon credits.
Yeah, I'm looking at all that, bro. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, and when I first heard about carbon credits, my mind was, I was like, that's crazy. I was like, who comes up with this stuff? And
I can already see the market.
It's the same people that are pushing these agendas, and that are also pushing more towards a new world order in terms of like power structures. Like yeah.
Lord have mercy.
So. Not to get off topic, but just to get back. So I with this list, with what the traits of money are, there's also traditional currencies, and there's 6 attributes of useful currency, which is pretty much similar to what we were talking about, which is scarcity, divisibility, acceptability, portability, durability, resistance to counterfeiting. So, and that's why, Bitcoin hits a lot of those, and I think that's why a lot of people.
It does.
But I also think it's kind of like shined a light on what cryptocurrency is, and usually as you go further into a specific paradigm, the cream kind of rises to the top. So there's always people that look at technology and go like, yeah, that's a great. Okay, how can we make it better?
Yes.
And then the governments basically implement these programs, and then the private sector makes them actually work.
Yes.
So they have the ideas of how they want things to go, and then the private sector makes it happen, because they're the ones that have the people working in technology that are going to create the tools and the systems that are going to operate everything. So pretty interesting stuff.
That's insane, man. That's actually really interesting that you brought that up. And then it is really crazy that it meets most of those requirements.
Yeah, the more you look into it, the more you see why so many people are very gung ho about Bitcoin, even though it's somewhat limited, but.
But that's one of the things on there is scarcity.
Yeah.
It is. It's so then it's just like figuring out how to scale the scarcity of it. Is what it seems like, right?
Yeah, and it takes time. I will point out, I was looking at, it's 99 Bitcoins. They do like weekly videos, and they've been doing that for the last 3 years or whatever. But they were talking about that, and there currently is like 18 million Bitcoins in circulation right now, and it takes about 4 years for it to scale. I want to say like a fourth. And that, don't quote me on that, but it's just because how we were talking about with El Salvador, how you have to do all the calculations to make the solutions. And so with the current process, every 4 years is when there's more of an abundance of coins.
There's a halving?
I think, I don't want to say halving.
Or is it just from just the mining?
From the mining.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the mining alone, it's adding more coins into circulation. And yeah. So, no, you're good. So, the circulation. And I think that, it's just going to take time. Once more people start using it, you said the Cash App, you use Bitcoin is on Cash App and whatnot. So, more implementation, it's going to build the amount that's in circulation.
Right.
I wonder how. Some of these banks, I was looking at Goldman Sachs, and they just did an option bid on Bitcoin. So how they did not trade Bitcoin, but they used like a third party. It's like Galaxy Digital Holding.
Okay.
So they used them as a trading partner, and they put an option on Bitcoin. And as it rose, they were able to be paid back in cash. And like that apparently is like their first trade on Bitcoin. So like some of these big institutions are really starting to jump into
that's a huge deal that Goldman Sachs has done that, because it legitimizes it to all the other institutions that people are investing in, and then it opens the door for people to say, oh man, if Goldman Sachs is doing it, if JP Morgan is doing it, then it's real, because they're the same people. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs were like a year ago talking about how Bitcoin is trash. Yeah. And that's when they were probably buying it.
That's so real. That is so true, though. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. I think the government has tons of Bitcoin just from seizing it, though.
Well, the Bitcoin they seized from that couple, where's that?
Oh, my God.
But that's the crazy thing. Like, unless you have the code or password, like, you can't get in there.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work? Like, someone dies tomorrow with 100 Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin, and, like, no one else can touch that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
How do they get to it?
Yeah, man, that's so wild.
There might be a service that comes along.
If that's the case, it's on the blockchain, right?
It's on the ledger.
It is.
And they can see it.
So, if that's the case, though, how were they able to find the couple? If it was on the blockchains and anonymous, how were they able to find them?
I think, even on the ledger, you're able to trace back where the money came from or where it went, because there's always a transaction. So I think they just follow the money. Right,
but even if you see where it went, all you see is the address. Yeah. You don't know who owns the address.
True.
So if that's the case, then it can be tracked, because I really think that it's for the longest time they were always saying about how Bitcoin was used for money laundering and drugs.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right.
Oh.
So
well, that's to further your point too. That was a use case why a lot of El Salvadorians were saying that they're afraid to transfer over to Bitcoin.
Right. So they were saying it was used for money laundering and drugs, right? And at the same time, they're also saying that money, like physical currency, is better. And then they're like, well, if you can't see the transactions on Bitcoin, but you can with dollars, how is a dollar not being used for money laundering and drugs? But what some of the theories out there are that, and it's a theory that Bitcoin was created by the government, CIA, and what Bitcoin was created to do was to move us from the old financial system to the new financial system by let's create this system that works and does this, and this. Let's release it anonymously. And with that in mind, you have control, because if you built the system, you can access the system, right? And find out who's using what. So not to say that that's the case, but if they can catch those people and they can catch the person that hacked this and did this and did that, I mean, I think to a certain degree it's not
as decentralized
as they say is, and it was used as a tool to catch all the people who were money laundering and using it for nefarious purposes, because they're going to jump into Bitcoin, start doing their business. They're just sitting back watching, going, you, oh, this organ, okay, you, okay, that's, $100 million there, $500 million there, $200 million there, seize it all. What's the best way to make a bunch of money? Catch somebody with their pants down and just say, hey, busted, we just seized $600 million. Where's that money going? To the government. So if they're seizing money like that, then they know that they could seize money like that. Why wouldn't they have some level of control over Bitcoin?
I feel that. Man, I'm trying to find this. I literally watched a documentary last night about this, about the scams and scandals with Bitcoin. It was actually really, really good. Canadian country called, I think the company was called Quadrix or something. They were like trying to be Coinbase. and in exchange, and people started funneling all their money through them, expecting to get Bitcoin back. And what they did was once Bitcoin tanked, everybody started asking for their money back, and the company just shut down. The people couldn't get their money back. The owner ends up. I'm sorry, I don't want to tell all of it because this is actually really good. But what I'm getting to the point of is like, yeah, there's going to be some shady shit that's going to be going on.
It was a Ponzi scheme.
It is. It can be.
Well, yeah, it can be, but a lot of the ICOs or the initial coin offerings, like on Ethereum, a lot of them don't do nothing. They're just ways to generate revenue. Just like back in the day when they had the IPOs, when all those tech companies were booming during the tech boom, and they were just like going out and like, oh, we've started this business that's going to do this, this, and this. Give us all this money, you know. And so people were handing out money left and right, right. And then they're like, well, where are you producing? They're like, oh, well, we don't know. It's not working, you know. And people are running off with money, and people are just running all kinds of scams because people are handing out money. Why wouldn't you say, well, we got this white paper, we produced this product, you know, give us 20 million. You know, how long can I live off 20 million until something bad happens? You know, so it's just interesting how the same thing is kind of happening now with cryptocurrency.
Dude, that's a crazy theory, man. When you really do think about it, and like when you really ask yourself who is the creator, I've heard a lot of theories. I've heard that Putin was the creator of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
But you know the that would be a reason for people to sell it and then another place to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, well, Putin owns it. Oh, we don't want this.
You know what? Let me ask you this, because we brought up Ukraine earlier. We've been giving the Ukrainians Bitcoin, right? But what do you do with it? Like, are they buying? Like, where is that? My
question is why. Also, too, like, why are we giving them Bitcoin?
Yeah,
because
maybe
I mean we know it's worth something, right? So we're trying to help you. Here's what we can give you.
And
Bitcoin,
Russia's been receiving Bitcoin too.
But what do you do with it? Is my question.
That's the greatest.
Is that how you rebuild once it's all over?
That is the greatest question.
I think it can be used as a store of value, and if you're.
But why not just transfer like actual money?
Why, when the money doesn't have the same value as Bitcoin? If one Bitcoin is $47,000 and $1 a dollar, has more value? Right.
True.
So if I have $100,000 and our currency, our dollar is almost $30 trillion in debt, and it has 30% of the buying power it did back in the 70s, what's worth more right now, the dollar or Bitcoin? The ruble or Bitcoin? You know, I mean, the ruble is going back up, but that's another story. I think that the Bitcoin it could be a couple of things. It could be Bitcoin's a store of value. They know they can take Bitcoin. Now they have a solid currency if they needed to buy resources from other governments, whether they be weapons or food or whatever, wheat, gas, whatever. And now if you can transact in Bitcoin, it's a lot easier to buy stuff with Bitcoin than buy with whatever the Ukraine's currency is right now, because it can't be worth anything.
So
right?
Who
wants the Ukraine's currency?
It's a precursor right now. So we're saying, okay, we expect this war to end, I don't know, in a year or so, but we're going to start giving you cryptocurrency now so that when you start to rebuild, you can exchange with me now.
Yeah, maybe they're exchanging now.
That's fair.
Maybe they're using it.
Which is, again, it's just developing more use cases for it, but like everyone's trying to keep you out of it. That's the weird part. That's why my question.
Right.
You know,
and maybe they're using it as collateral. To be able to purchase other things. Okay, we're going to give you this Bitcoin. We want to buy these weapons. We got this Bitcoin. If we win the war, you get this. If we lose the war, you get these resources here in our, or who knows, whatever agreement you have to make. But it could be that, or it could be another those things that are about adoption, where they're like, okay, we want it. We like the optics, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people are sympathetic toward the Ukraine, right? And if you're sympathetic to the Ukraine, you'll be like, man, they're giving them Bitcoin. Okay, so they're sending them, instead of sending them dollars, they're sending them Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's worth more than dollars. So maybe in people's minds, you're giving them this idea that Bitcoin has a value that supersedes what the value of fiat currency is, or
Right.
gold, or whatever else you're sending.
Sure,
Because
right.
then in people's minds, people are watching the news. They're not. I don't want to say how many people are researching Bitcoin and to see what Bitcoin does, what its value is, what cryptocurrency's been designed for, right? How many people are doing that versus just going like, oh, the Ukraine. Okay, so I go to work, I come home, have dinner, watch the news, talk to my friends about whatever's going on, who won what game, this, that, the other. Maybe we talk about some other things. We talk about the slap, and then I go back to work. So where are you in your thought process? Is your thought process looking beyond what's going on, or are you just looking at the optics and going, okay, I just see
Oh, for sure.
Bitcoin being
Absolutely.
sent cross borders.
You don't
But-
have the bandwidth in order to actually go ahead and do all the research that you need to do and all this stuff, which is why this podcast even exists.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
Right. And before we close, I did want to mention just a couple things about like buying Bitcoin.
Yep.
You know, so there's a couple ways you can buy Bitcoin, just like if you're investing. There's exchanges, you know, like Kraken, Coinbase, Uphold, Crypto.com, which is really big right now. And then there's apps, of course, which all those exchanges have apps. And that's the best way you can purchase Bitcoin if you want to. And of course, Cash App is one big one. But at the same time, investing in any cryptocurrency is very risky. So you want to do some research. And it's volatile, and it can have you pulling your hair out, and maybe you getting divorced if you're married.
Only invest what you are willing to lose. We say that every episode. This is not financial advice.
Facts. Buy more XRP.
I need to, man. I need to get in there. I have not touched it yet. After watching y'all's episode, like I want to get in there. What the app do you use for it?
Uphold.
That's what you said.
And then well, and honestly, we probably need to do like the next one. You know, like really break some of these cryptocurrencies down again, like we did today with Bitcoin, a little bit more. But XRP, this man got me on it once again. Uphold, pull it off of Uphold and putting it onto a nano ledger for storage would be what I need to start doing. I need to go buy one.
I didn't even know about that. So okay,
That's important because, like, you know, if it's on the web, right? I mean, you can't stake it at that point, but if it's on the web, there's the potential for something to go awry.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Even though I still think it's more secure than hell, even my bank at this point. You know what I'm saying?
I agree
Yeah.
about it being probably more secure than your bank, but at the same time, these exchanges aren't regulated either.
Sure.
So there's no way for you to recover your
Oh, for sure.
cryptocurrency if the exchange gets hacked.
For sure.
Because there was just a hack recently of an exchange, and they got
Yeah,
there
$600
was.
million.
Yeah.
So that $600 million, it's not insured by FDIC.
Nope.
So you're kind of screwed.
Yep.
So I think that's why a lot of times most people that invest in cryptocurrency and that are influencers, or they're just people that study it, will tell you, like you said, Kelvin, to put it on a offline wallet, or even on a hard wallet, like on I believe most of the exchanges do. Crypto.com and Coinbase both have software wallets that I think are
More secure.
secure and guaranteed to a certain. But then again, I haven't looked to that extent because I don't trust them. I just took some and I just put it on a hardware wallet. And then, I'm just like, I'm not touching that, till 2025.
Yeah, trustless, man. You know what I'm saying?
Trustless.
Trustless.
I like that.
Trustless, you know?
Yeah.
You guys have anything else that you guys want to bring up? Good of the order today? No?
No, I think we pretty much covered a good part of Bitcoin. I guess we didn't go too much into how people transacting it, but we could do that next time. But
For sure. I think we can talk about transactions in general.
yeah.
But, I mean, decent discussion today, I felt like, anyways. And it shows, like, number one, there's a lot of if we just break it down, like what we talked about a little bit, the use cases for cryptocurrency, the information hedged against other information, who are we going to believe, and then just cool technology in the future and how we can actually use it in the future, how it might be implemented in the future.
Right.
And then last but not least, Glint, everybody.
Glint Pay. We got
Pay.
how about, you know,
Dude.
people are out there flexing, you know.
Yeah.
In Lambos.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Is that
yet.
where it's at?
No, I don't know.
With the Glint?
Okay, they're flexing in Toyota Camrys. I don't know, whatever. They're flexing with dollar bills. You know, they got dollar bills, and I got an app. You know?
Yeah, there you go.
I got a debit card. You know, the great thing about cryptocurrency too is like there are a bunch of different apps. So I have a friend of mine. He's a real estate agent, and we were out having coffee. And then he went to pay for the coffee. Wait, that's the wrong card. He pulled. I don't even know if I have my Coinbase card with me. I don't think I have my Coinbase card with me. But you can get a Coinbase card. The only scary thing about the Coinbase card is you're spending your crypto right on the fly. But you can get an Uphold card too. So
What? Is that Uphold?
yeah, you can get an Uphold card.
All right, there we
And
go.
it's a debit card too, so you can spend your crypto. So if let's say you got Bitcoin in your Uphold account, or even on your Coinbase account, you're just spending your Bitcoin. You know, they're just doing the transfer automatically. You know, are they using XRP or what?
So wait, how you can? This is Visa, right? No, Discover card. Oh shoot.
Yeah, it's an Uphold.
Upload
card.
by Discover.
Yeah,
Interesting.
click, bam. I dare not use this card.
I was about to ask you, have you used it?
Because I have. I've used it, but I was spending Algorand, and I didn't have a whole lot of it, and I was just like, oh, this hurts.
Wow. Okay. We'll have to talk offline.
We're gonna talk offline.
I got
There's
questions.
more. Guys, it's been the Neo Standard once again. Kelvin Penn, Bilori Howard, Paul Parker. And once again, I want to say thank you again to the Rain Incubator for allowing us to use your guys' facility. Until the next time, we'll see you guys. Buy some crypto.
XRP to the moon.